Free software has a bad reputation for elitism when it comes to free versus non-free software. This video will show you why elitism is actually good and necessary for the free software movement and the software world as a whole. Some common complaints include, oh, my computer doesn't work with my free software. Why do I need to enable my non-free software? It should just come pre-installed. Here's an example of such a complaint. This user is pissed off that the non-free software is not enabled by default in the GNU GUX operating system. Let's say that the Free Software Foundation were to accommodate these people by including non-free software by default. This would mean that they would have to bend their principles of free software in their own OS and, in their view, do something potentially unethical. Who really cares what they think is unethical or not? The important thing is that they are being pressured to forget all about their principles to appease these people. Despite losing popularity and pragmatism, if the FSF has to keep eroding their principles by meeting people where they are, eventually they will not have anything left of their original idea. This is called a slippery slope for a reason. People will keep asking you to make it more and more accessible until either your program bloats to gigabytes in size or your idea becomes so watered down it won't make any meaningful change. This is why it's important to firmly lay down your own principles and let others come to you instead of appealing to the masses. This is how you make real-world change. This attitude comes off as elitist because it's different than the status quo, and therefore causes friction with what people are used to right now. Elitism will ensure that you don't become like the status quo you're trying to change, and that's why it's very important to be this way. Most people have no idea what the Free Software Foundation even stands for and why, and this is why the FSF has created their organization in an explicitly elitist way. On their website, one of the first pages you'll see is anchoring the FSF in its values. They realized that lots of people who would benefit from their work but disagree with software freedom could join the organization and voot the original people out and replace them with new soys who don't uphold software freedom values. Therefore, they created a board of directors who were the only people who could vote on electing new members for some certain legal reasons. They couldn't just have a board of directors with no democracy allowed. This wouldn't be allowed by the law. This would prevent other organized groups from paying a bunch of people to vote for their own ideas, taking over the FSF. I think it's further proof that this strategy works because even after 40 years, the FSF has still maintained the same core freedoms as the very beginning. The conclusion that we can take away from the FSF and its government is that it is important to hold strong to your principles and make meaningful change, even if the status quo or alternatives are more pragmatic or popular. This is important for the software world as a whole because governments and companies want to keep you locked into their little systems and force you to pay them with your money, privacy, and freedom. This is why free software lets you use, change, and distribute software as you please, and it's very essential to your digital sovereignty. Without the FSF, we'd be even more locked into proprietary and non-free ecosystems as we are today, and we wouldn't be able to have the same freedoms to use computers in the way that we take for granted right now.